What if I told you that Ferrari could have the key to dominating Formula One from 2026 in its hands, and that its rivals already know it, but no one dares to say it in public? Internally, Project 678 is not treated as an evolution of the SF25. It is a car designed from a blank sheet of paper, a totally different architecture, a new approach to chassis engine suspension integration that Ferrari has been preparing since 2023, even before knowing who its driver duo would be in 2026. At that time, Leclerc was still fighting for consistency, and Hamilton was just a rival. But the team's vision was clear. The next regulatory change would be its only realistic window to regain the dominance lost since Schumacher's time. The new SF26 carries within it a radical concept that is generating more tension in rival technical headquarters than any other innovation. A steel cylinder head developed together with AVL, the Austrian firm specializing in competition engines. This decision to the untrained eye may seem crazy. Steel is heavier than aluminum. Its processing is more complex. And until now, no team had dared to use it in this critical area of the Formula One engine. But what seems like a weakness is actually the key to a quiet technical advantage. The steel that Ferrari has chosen is not just any alloy. It is a compound specifically developed to resist thermal and pressure conditions that traditional engines could not tolerate. The new 2026 rules reduce the compression ratio from 18:1 to 16:1, force greater electrical input to the powertrain, and limit many of the previous freedoms in combustion mapping. But instead of resigning itself to losing power, Ferrari found a different path, increasing the thermal efficiency of the engine by operating at higher temperatures, thanks to the use of a material that does not deform, does not crack, and does not lose properties under extreme pressure. This cylinder head allows the combustion chamber to function like never before. Lower thermal loss, greater control of the Otto cycle, better integration of the ERS system in the loading and recovery phases. But the most relevant thing is not the power. This is what this solution allows you to build around. By operating with less need for cooling, Ferrari has redesigned the car's entire cooling system. Smaller radiators, fewer ventilation ducts, and most importantly, a compact thermal package that frees up space in the rear area of the car. And what does that mean in performance language? More freedom to sculpt an extremely aggressive rear end. An even more closed Coke bottle profile, which channels the air flow towards the diffuser with an efficiency that others cannot match. This is what bothers rivals the most, because they can't copy it without redoing their entire drivetrain. Ferrari not only has a different cylinder head, it has a different car concept. And that translates into a systemic advantage, not a specific one. Red Bull, for example, dominated the 2022 to 2023 era with perfect synergy between its compact Honda engine and the architecture of the RB18 and RB19. But Ferrari could be replicating that engine-chassis integration formula with an even more disruptive vision. While Mercedes is committed to minimizing drag in high-speed areas and McLaren optimizes lateral downforce, Ferrari has rewritten the rules of thermal packaging. And he has done it in silence. This steel cylinder head is so crucial that Ferrari, for months, developed an alternative aluminum version in parallel, in case the main solution failed. They didn't want to risk the entire season on a failed concept. But after more than 1,000 hours on a test bench, the data was clear. The steel version was not only viable, it was better. Even the initial problems of overweight were mitigated thanks to new heat treatments and internal ceramic coatings. But this is not just a story of innovation. It is also a story of risk. Ferrari's great fear is not speed. It's reliability. An engine working at its thermal and structural limits can deliver extraordinary performance, or break down before completing a race. And with the new regulations allowing only 4 units per driver in a 24-race season, a lapse in reliability could cost you the championship before you reach the summer. This sword of Damocles flies over Maranello. That's why Ferrari engineers are in war mode, pushing engine life cycles to the limit, analyzing each microfracture, simulating each failure scenario, because they know that if this engine holds up, no one is going to stop them. And therein lies the real fear of the rivals. Not in what the SF26 has shown, but in what it could show when the traffic light goes out in the first race of 2026. In Formula One, the most powerful car doesn't always win. Many times the car that behaves best wins. The one that manages to keep its tires in the ideal operating window, the one that does not lose aerodynamic support in slow corners, and the one that resists the irregularities of the track without breaking down its platform. And that's where one of the quietest but most disturbing developments of the Ferrari SF26 comes into play, its front suspension system. At first glance, aerodynamic and engine changes usually grab the headlines. But those who really know how a winning car is built know that the suspension is the point of contact between the car and the real world. What connects the wind tunnel theory with the asphalt of the circuit? And Ferrari, understanding this, has taken a technical risk that can give them an incalculable advantage. The SF26, according to multiple leaks from the Italian press and the AVL environment, would be developing a front pushrod system combined with elements of variable structural flexibility. This is not an active system, nor hydraulic, nor illegal. But it's right on the edge. The idea is simple but powerful. Build a suspension that behaves differently on a straight line than on a curve. In a straight line, the car maintains a rigidity that minimizes aerodynamic bounce and loss of efficiency due to vertical oscillations. But in curves, when the car is subjected to lateral and vertical forces at the same time, certain elements within the system that could include suspension arms with variable tolerance, internal carbon structures with decoupled layers, or even support rubbers with progressive stiffness allow a slight dynamic height adjustment. This small adjustment can be the difference between maintaining the laminar flow of air towards the diffuser, or losing the rear load and with it the total grip of the car. And in the new era of 2026, where cars will be smaller, with less total downforce and with more severe restrictions on the use of active land, that flexibility can be pure gold. Engineers know, every millimeter of height counts. Each degree of body lean alters how the airflow hits the bottom of the car, the diffuser, the vortex generators, and most critically, how the tires wear. A car that can adapt mechanically, without electronic systems, without changing configuration in the pits, has a superior tactical capacity. And here comes the most disturbing detail. The FIA has not yet clearly defined the structural limits of the 2026 regulation in terms of passive mechanical flexibility. There is a gray area. Active suspensions are prohibited, yes. But a suspension that changes its behavior under load, using physical elements, not electronics, is still technically legal, for now. This is exactly what worries opposing teams. It's not that Ferrari is violating the regulations. The thing is that he could be designing something within the law that others do not have time to replicate. Something that can work for half a season before the stewards question it. And by then, Ferrari could have already built an almost irreversible points lead. This movement is not new in history. In 2012, Red Bull used a suspension system that lowered the car's height under braking. In 2020, Mercedes brought out DES, a dynamic front wheel angle adjustment. Both systems operated within the law, until they were banned. But they served their purpose, delivering victories when they counted most. Ferrari is trying to do the same with the SF26. A legal secret weapon which cannot be seen from the outside, which does not generate headlines, but which turns the car into an adaptable organism. A car that can modify its dynamic behavior depending on the curve, the temperature, the condition of the tires, without the need for external intervention. This is not a trick. It is cutting-edge engineering hidden in the most basic mechanics of the car. And it is precisely this type of innovation that can decide a championship. The question is, how long will it be until someone finds out? Every technical innovation in Formula One is like a double-edged sword. It can give you an advantage, but it can also destroy you if left unchecked. And in the case of the SF26, Ferrari has crossed a threshold where performance and fragility walk the same tightrope. Ferrari lives a paradox. It has, possibly, the most brilliant technical solution of the 2026 era. But it is walking on such a thin surface that any crack in metal or management can break everything. And if that happens, there will be no steel cylinder that can withstand the media pressure, the frustration of the drivers, or the internal disappointment of seeing a historic opportunity slip away due to a poorly adjusted nut. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.